Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, coming to you from the Raising Cane studio. Last hour of the week for us, working towards the weekend. I hope that work week's in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line here. We're going to talk a little bit of Saints salary cap. What is the salary cap, and what does it mean for the Saints coming up at 2:15? A little bit more baseball talk coming your way at 2:30. But we'll start with some LSU football, and specifically Garrett Nussmeier. You know, some seasons are more remarkable than others. That doesn't mean good, but more remarkable than others. I don't know a lot about the 2014 LSU football season if you just made me go talk about that. That was Fournette's freshman year. I guess they started with Wisconsin, but I don't really remember much about that year. It was an unremarkable year. There's not a lot to say about the 2013 LSU year. They threw it around a lot, and they had the 1,000-yard receivers and 1,000-yard rusher with their bad defense. But I mean, you don't win championships. The bottom didn't fall out. It's just kind of an unremarkable year. The 2025 season was a remarkable year for multiple reasons. One, you fired a coach and an athletic director right in the middle of it, and it was such a highly anticipated season opener and season. You had that number one portal class. I'll remember the 2025 season for a long time, and I will certainly remember as part of that 2025 season going into Tiger Stadium the Saturday before LSU played Clemson in the most anticipated season opener in a long time. And it was 7 days before they kicked off against Clemson, and they let us go into Tiger Stadium to watch practice and document it. And I sat in the press box, and Garrett Nussmeier never threw a football. Never. I have been going to LSU football practices since 2010. That was 15 years. And I have never gone to a football practice where the quarterback never threw a ball. And we saw Garrett Nussmeier do it twice. And I didn't really think anything of it when we saw it indoors in one of the random Thursday, Tuesday practice, whatever that we went to. I was like, yeah, just give him a day off, whatever. I really didn't think anything of it. When I went into Tiger Stadium and I saw him not throw 7 days before kickoff, my antennas went up. And I talked about it on the show. I said, it just seems a little odd, but Brian Kelly came on and said, no, just load management, fifth-year senior. We know he can throw. We're just kind of taking some plays off. And I kind of went with it, but in the back of my head, I was going, we sure? And it turns out he was hurt. And Garrett Nussmeier, which I talked about 2 weeks ago, is just simply not going to draw attention to himself in the media. He was LSU's starting quarterback for 2 years. He was the most boring interview I've ever done. Not to say he's a boring guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know him. But in a press conference setting, he doesn't say squat. Garrett, y'all are playing Ole Miss. Jackson Dart's the quarterback. Is this a big showdown between two quarterbacks? We're playing Ole Miss. It's not two quarterbacks. Garrett, huge game with Alabama. Just another football game. We're going to go out there and try to take care of business. Cliches, monotone. He gives you nothing, and that's intentional. He does that on purpose. So when we asked him about his injury, he dismissed it and dismissed it and dismissed it. Brian Kelly talked about it a little bit, but Garrett Nussmeier consistently just blew it off. So we didn't really know what was going on. And then at the Senior Bowl, he sat down with Flynn and Hester, who were there in Mobile, and said, yeah, I couldn't use my torso. I couldn't really throw. And he finally opened up about it, and now we know. But he went further at the Combine today. He was interviewed by a number of reporters. And now that you don't have to make excuses and the season's over and he's not getting hit and not giving anything to his opponents or excuses, he's just talking. And he was asked about his injury today, and he really peeled back the onion a little bit.
Yeah, my injury occurred in fall camp, day 2, practice 2 of fall camp. How much did it affect me? It was, I think it was pretty evident. I really wasn't able to throw the football. I had a stabbing pain in my ab every time I went to go throw the ball. And We weren't able to figure out exactly what it was. It was a frustrating deal, and it wasn't LSU's fault. It wasn't the doctor's fault. They did a great job of taking care of me and the trainers there. It was just a rare deal. It was just a thing that, we really didn't figure out what it was until about 2 months ago. Had about 9 days to prepare for the Senior Bowl and try and get back right for that. And so made a lot of progress over the last month. And so feeling much more like myself, which has been exciting. Learning how to retrain myself, get rid of the bad habits that I created, and just be able to get to throw the football like I know I can.
The second day of fall camp, he got hurt. Day 2, they don't even have the pads on day 2, and he got hurt. This season was over before LSU put pads on, and Brian Kelly lost his job. Now, maybe the offensive line was terrible and the play calling was terrible and it would have gone poorly anyway. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they would have won the national championship if Nussmeier was healthy. But when you look at what LSU's offense did and how bad it was, they couldn't score points on Louisiana Tech. They couldn't score points on Tech. And it's just a great what if. We do What If Wednesday on this show. What if he stays healthy? I don't know. But when you consider that he was physically incapable of really throwing the ball, and that's all he can do. He can't run. He's not 6'4". He's all he can do is spin the football. And he couldn't do it. You had a dimensionless quarterback that you were playing with. It just changes the equation. And they knew about it from day 2. So the question could be asked, hey, Hunt, you're at practice every day. You've said a billion times, Brian Kelly gave y'all as much access as any coach ever has. What were y'all doing out there? How did you not see this? And I have an answer for you. I don't know. It didn't look that bad to me. I mean, the offense looked bad because they couldn't block. They never ran the ball. They struggled to complete passes. But it didn't look to me like he was a guy that was hunched over on his side every time he threw the ball or that everything was floating out like a duck. I mean, if you go back and watch the Louisiana Tech highlights on YouTube, and trust me when I say I'm not exaggerating at all. Not exaggerating at all. That has been played in my house 320 times because it was the first game Myers ever went to, and he wants to watch the highlights of it on YouTube all the time. He will come, he would go to me and he'd say, hey, can we watch the LSU and the Bulldogs and the Tigers that run out? He says it that way because the first scene of the YouTube highlights is LSU running out of the tunnel. So that's just how he communicates to me. He says, can you watch the Tigers and the Bulldogs and the Tigers that run out? And that means put the Tech game on. And I've done it 300 times. The first play that they show on that highlight tape is a deep ball. And Barryon Brown is wide open, 3 yards, 5 yards behind the defense. And the ball floats out and they pick it. It's an interception. And we just I don't remember seeing that in camp. Him just coming up woefully short. But I did talk to some sources within the program in September about it. And everyone, even though it was off the record and they suggested he was okay. He was not okay. He couldn't throw the ball. They shut him down at the end of the season. And so you've got people now asking, like, why even play him? Like, why would you even put him out there? Why would he take a red shirt? Well, he's not going to take a medical when they've pulled in the number 1 portal class. You've got all these guys in their final year of eligibility, and he's in his 5th year in college. Like, sitting out for the season was just not tenable. So what they did was they went out there and they threw screens for 4 quarters against Clemson, and they beat them because their defense was awesome. So they figured, we can just throw screens, and that wasn't going to get it. And teams figured it out, and they couldn't stretch the field, and they can't run the ball, and then it was just a disaster. But day 2 of fall camp, he got hurt. That is a nightmare. And so this will be a season, to go back to my original point, that I will remember, and that image of him not throwing the ball in Tiger Stadium when I'm sitting in the press box will be burned into my brain until I can't remember anymore. Like, that will be my lasting image of the 2025 season is Nussmeier couldn't throw. And you can have a barroom discussion, a family discussion around the dinner table for a long time, but what happens if the guy that threw for 4,000 yards healthy is healthy last year. You can have that discussion forever. And I honestly don't know the answer. I don't think they're going to the playoff, but I think they're better. And I do think that Garrett Nussmeier has a chance to forge a pro career based on some of the things that I saw him do in 2024. You don't just fall out of bed and throw for 4,000 yards. Joe Burrow is the only quarterback in the history of LSU football to throw for more than that in a single season. Yes, he made some mental mistakes. Yes, the second half against A&M was terrible that year. Yes, the Alabama game in the rain was awful. I'm not suggesting he was going to win the Heisman Trophy, but he is a good college quarterback who's a talented dude who can make tough throws. And that was gone from his ability this past year, and it happened on the second day of practice. I'd like to ask Brian Kelly about it. Maybe one day when he gets into to television or when he writes a book or whatever it is that he does, gets on the record. Like, Brian Kelly seems to me to be a pretty candid guy. Not a lot of pressure on him. $800,000 a month's rolling in. I know that. I'd like to hear, like, how much do you think it affected it? And see what his answer is. Because that's just, for as much anticipation, as many good players as they had on that team and the improvements they made on defense, to be that feckless on offense. Yes, it was some play calling. Yes, it was some offensive line lack of development. Yes, it was some poor quarterback play, but the injury was factored in at some point too. And man, I just didn't see it coming. I did not see it in August. But he's telling you about it now. All right, that's a look at Garrett Nussmeier's injury from the Combine. We'll see what he's able to do up there in Indianapolis over the weekend. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They're happy to do catering, by the way, if you're tailgating out at the box, if you've got a birthday party coming up, if you're doing a lunch and learn at the office, Cork's is happy to help you out with that. Just go to corksfishandshrimp.com. You can see their catering orders are available right there. You can stop by Government between Foster and Jefferson, get those big old trays of crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, shoestring fries, honey butter rolls. Got the awesome little beignet bites as well as a little dessert treat. Check them out on Government between Foster and Jefferson online at corksfishandshrimp.com. When we come back, what's the salary cap? Now we know. And what does it mean for the Saints? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy, GCBR.com. Swing Easy, GCBR.com. Play some golf this weekend. Don't have a tee time? Doesn't matter. You can check them out at swingeasygolfclub.com. One of the things that's cool about Swing Easy, they're open late. My next door neighbor a couple weeks ago went up there at 8 o'clock. You can go play golf at 8 o'clock at night, pitch black, because you're inside on the simulator. Play Pebble Beach. Try to make a hole-in-one on 7. I tried it 600 times. Didn't do it. Got close. Hit the pin 3 times. See what you can do. Play around at Pebble. Play around at Cypress Point. TPC Sawgrass. Players is right around the corner. See how you handle it. You card a score, hang out with your friends, drink some cold beers. They got seltzers there as well. Turn the television on in there. Comfortable seating. You can crank some tunes on the turtle boxes they got in there. It's a great place to hang out. So if you're looking for weekend plans, looking for something to do, call up a buddy. Go to Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan at Perkins. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Very nice win by Mississippi State today at Globe Life Field. They beat Arizona State, who came in 8-1. They had split a midweek pair of games with Oklahoma, but Oklahoma needed a 2-run rally in the last inning of the second game of that series to win one. Arizona State's pretty good, I think, and Mississippi State beats them 8-4. Arizona State's ace came out of the game with leg cramps, and after that, the bullpen just got bashed. But it's a nice job by Mississippi State. Now the big one this afternoon from Arlington. It'll be UCLA and Tennessee at 3 o'clock. Tegan Coons will go for the Vols. Curious to see how that one shakes out. The Mississippi State game was free on YouTube, so if you're looking for something this afternoon to check out, 3 o'clock, so 42 minutes away from right now, you can maybe YouTube Tennessee and UCLA and check it out on YouTube. It should be a heck of a game. UCLA is mega talented, and I think Tennessee's probably better than they've shown, and certainly they got to bounce back from last week. And if they go to Arlington and really struggle, lose all 3 or lose 2, you're going to hear some rumblings from Knoxville. And I made the comment when Tony Vitello left. I was like, I just don't think they can maintain this, and I would sell stock in Tennessee baseball. I don't think that's applicable to this year. I think this team's pretty good, but over the long haul, I don't think they'll be able to sustain what they had done. So we'll see. Big game this afternoon in LSU tonight will play against Dartmouth. We'll talk about that coming up here in about 10 minutes. All right, the NFL has announced its salary cap for the 2026 season. We get that around the combine time every single year. And it's going to go up $22 million from last year. So the 2026 salary cap is going to be $301,200,000. So $301.2 million. They had given a range of 301.2 to 305.7. It falls on the low end of that, but just over $301 million. So the Saints still have some work to do. They've got to get compliant, but that's not going to be a big hurdle for the Saints to clear. Now, I've told you this many times. Don't have any problem telling you this. Among the things that we talk about on this show, the thing that I have the least confidence in is the NFL salary cap. When you start converting things into roster bonuses and signing bonuses and spreading out money over the course of deals and doing extensions and what applies and what doesn't, and how dead money because this guy retired and he plays for another team, but you still got to – it's a lot to deal with. I don't have my Kai Harley degree, but Ross Jackson does, and he covers the Saints for LouisianaSports.net, so I read him. And he said there are 3 deals that can be restructured that would save the Saints north of $25 million. Chase Young's contract, they can save about $11 million. Juwan Johnson's contract, just north of $6 million. And then they can extend Chris Olave, which would spread money out over the course of a couple of years, and they could save $8 or $9 million on that. And at that point, the Saints could be essentially compliant and could be able to get back into the market for free agents. The question is just how aggressive they're going to be with these new parameters. This is something we've discussed ad nauseum, that they're in a position they have not been in a very long time. It's just a question of how they want to approach it. If we're going to put like a number on it, 0 to 10, okay? Like, there have been years, the back end of the Breeze era, in terms of spending and in terms of doing what they were doing, they were at like a 9 on the aggressiveness scale. Like, we're doing whatever we can to try to put this around Breeze and make this thing happen. And then they throttled back, and you have seen them over the last couple of years not do crazy work with free agents and not do crazy work with contracts. They backed down, and I think they should be around a 6 at this point in terms of aggressiveness. You do need to fill some needs, and I think they can win the division this year. I don't know if I'd pick them to win it today, but I think they can win it. But you can't mortgage 27, 28, 29 with your aggressiveness in 26 and handcuff yourself. I don't think they're good enough to do that. It was fun winning the games at the end of the year. That's fun. But don't let it cloud your judgment. You've got to take a step back and realize that I think the years where if things go right, if this draft class that you signed for last year that was rookies last year, if they blossom into really good players in year 2, and if Shuck is that dude that we hope he is, then I think your real window to hammer it with the rookie quarterback contract is 27-28. That's when you got to ramp at this thing up. It's not right now. So this is good that you've got a bump in the salary cap at $20 million, that you don't have to do a lot of gymnastics. There are only really 3 contracts you've got to look at to handle. That's a good thing. That's a good start. But don't get out over your skis again and hamper. I want to be talking at this time next year about the Saints like under the cap. There are teams in the NFL right now that are in the neighborhood of $70 million under the cap. That's never going to happen as long as Mickey Loomis is running things in New Orleans. It's just never going to happen. It's just not. But they can be under. They can have flexibility. That's the goal. I want to be talking about significant flexibility next year. Here's the scale. It starts where the Saints were, which is we have to do all these gymnastics just to get under the cap. That's where you start. And then it gets to, we don't have to do that much. And then the next step, which is not this year, but it could be next year and certainly the year after that, is we can go spend now. We're way clear of the cap. It's a progression. You can't go from jail to paradise in a year. It's a slide. And we all knew the Saints were getting into that last offseason when you knew the thing was falling apart. But this is encouraging. I love reading Ross's piece at LouisianaSports.net where he goes, you want to know how they do it? It's 3 guys. Usually they're 120 over. They'll get it. They'll get it under. They'll work the numbers. They'll cook the books. Harley will get in there. He'll get in the lab. He'll start spinning things around. It'll spit out something compliant. It looks atrocious on the books for the next 3 years, but he'll get it figured out. That's where you started. You can't go to, okay, we can sign everybody now in free agency. You can't do that in a year. But you can make moves forward, and they're doing that. So now they know what their limit is, and they know where they stand. And I suggest you need to plug a few holes. Want to sign one of the top guards to a 3-year deal? You can do that right now. You want to sign a veteran in the secondary? You want to sign a veteran on the defensive front? Maybe you need somebody to fill in because DeMario Davis walks. You want to handle that? You can plug maybe 2 of those holes in free agency. You can't go nuts. You can't do what New England did last year. You can't do what Tennessee's about to do this year. You can't go nuts. 2 guys. Aggressively. But when you do that, and then you see what the books could look like in 2027 and 2028, that's when you might be able to shop at the high end of the market. If you handle yourself properly this year. You went from jail to the halfway house. Okay, now we're where we need to be. You're in the halfway house right now. They got to make sure that they handle themselves the proper way this year. Now they know what they're looking at. A $22 million increase from last year. Saints just a little bit over that. 3 contracts flipped. You're in a good shape. Plug it with a guard. Handle your draft class well. Move a couple contracts off the books that are hurting you right now that won't be very, very soon. And you're in a good spot. It's another positive development for this Saints team. I like where they stand, and I think that they can do some good things. It's crazy to think about what we were talking about in October. But at this point, things look a little different, and that's an exciting thing. Yesterday, we talked about them being named the best draft class in the league last year, and now you're talking about some room to spend, which is a great thing for the black and gold down in New Orleans. All right, let me tell you about my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Go by and see them this afternoon. Go by and see them tomorrow. Why? Because those are days in February. Come Monday, February's over, and I can't promise you these kind of savings on trucks. But in February, up to $11,000 off Chevy Silverados, up to $13,000 off GMC Sierras. 5 figures in saving off MSRP on Silverados and Sierras. So if you're looking for a new truck, maybe your lease is up, maybe it's just time for a new ride, maybe you've always wanted a truck and haven't had the guts to pull the trigger. Here's the time. Go to Fabry Chevrolet GMC, Highway 61 in St. Francisville, and tell them it's time to get a truck. And they'll tell you about the awesome savings that we've got. You can find the whole inventory right there on FabryChevrolet.com. That's where you can start your buying process, but go see and make that short drive to St. Francisville, FabryChevrolet.com. All right, when we come back, let's talk some LSU baseball. Tigers in Dartmouth tonight. Tigers in Northeastern on Saturday, then Dartmouth again on Sunday, Northeastern on Monday. I talked pitching in the first segment of the show. Let's talk some offense next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Marucci, go take a tour at Marucci. Baseball season is here, and so you can go check out where they make the official bat of Major League Baseball. That is, of course, at Marucci. It's such an awesome story. They started in a backyard shed in 2002. Now you look forward 24 years later, and they're the official bat of Major League Baseball. Go take a campus tour, maruccisports.com/campus-tours, where you can buy your tickets. You go on that tour, and every ticket to the tour comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour store and in the hitter's house. Got a youth baseball team? Take them by Marucci. Got a youth softball team? Take them by Marucci. Get them in the cages. Take some hacks and see where they make 1,200 bats a day. What a cool thing. If you're looking for something, an outing this weekend, got some kiddos in the house, got to get them out. Go to Marucci. Take a tour. It's right there on Segan. Find them online at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. You can get a tour. Get 20% off in the campus tour store and hitter's house over at Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all.
Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. You're standing from meat on this Lenten Friday. How about Corks? Like make you a shrimp po' boy. It's awesome. Fantastic jumbo Gulf shrimp. The recipe was born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. Their government between Foster and Jefferson. It's a great shrimp po' boy. Go get it. Get you some shoestring fries. Enjoy that Friday afternoon of Lent over at Corks. The entire menu's online at corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, let's talk a little baseball. Dartmouth's going to throw a freshman tonight, Izzy Parsky. He was our opening day starter. Threw 3 2/3 innings against Fairleigh Dickinson last week. Gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs. Starting a right-hander against LSU is just not a fun proposition because right there in the first inning, you're going to deal with Curiel from the left side. You're going to deal with Milam from the left side. You're going to deal with York from the left side. You're going to deal with Brown from the left side. It's just very uncomfortable to deal with those 4 guys right out of the chute when you're right-handed, especially when you're a freshman and your only outing as a college player was against Fairleigh Dickinson, and you're going to sit in front of 8,000, 9,000 at the box tonight. So I expect LSU to play well coming off a loss tonight. The key thing, and I mentioned this briefly yesterday, but I'll say it again today, this is a big weekend for some of the guys on this team. It's a big weekend for Tanner Reeves. It's a big weekend for Braden Simpson. It's a big weekend for Mason Braun. It's a big weekend for John Pearson. It's a big weekend for these guys because you're about to see a shrinking of LSU's rotation to a degree. Because Chris Stanfield's eventually going to come back. It doesn't sound like he's going to hit this week, but he's going to eventually come back. And if you're going to vie for playing time in this lineup, and Seth Dartar is going to nail down second base, DH is your spot. And you got Mason Braun there, and you got John Pearson there. And if Simpson wants to play, he needs to hit. And if Reeves wants to play, he needs to hit. You throw up an 0 for 2 with a strikeout this week, and your next chance may not come for a while as far as in the starting lineup. And that's just the nature of it. I love the depth of this LSU team. It's probably the biggest strength of the team is the depth. That's on the mound and it's in the lineup. And the fact that LSU can roll with Simpson and Pearson against a lefty or can roll with Braun and Reeves against a righty, the fact that they've got those options is a very, very positive thing. And the fact that when you go to a bullpen arm, LSU's generally going to have a guy from the other side of the plate to counter with is a good thing. But to suggest that LSU in an SEC weekend is going to start 12 different players, I think is ambitious. I think that's ambitious. So Jay's always going to play matchups. He's always going to do some platoon things. He's always going to have a pinch hit guy available. But if you want significant time, you need to show it now. And you're facing a Dartmouth team that's Friday guy is a true freshman who got lit up by Fairleigh Dickinson, and a Northeastern team who comes into this weekend with a team ERA of 15. They got run ruled twice by Minnesota. They have given up 10-plus runs in 5 of 6 games. So, yeah, you need to hit these guys. I mentioned this at the top of the show, so for those that have been here for 95 minutes, you're hearing it for a second time. For those that have not been here 90 minutes, you're catching it for the first time. But this is the toughest stretch for the fans to get invested in because the newness of opening weekend is gone. The thrill of the tournament in Jacksonville is gone. Now you're at the box. You're playing teams no one's ever heard of, and you don't have SEC play for another 2 weeks. So, yeah, the fans are probably, a little bit tuned out this week. The players need to lock in. You got to earn your time. And I think the great thing about what Jay Johnson has done with this program is that he has instilled a motivation in his team and an acceptance of roles in his team. Like last year, Jake Brown didn't start against left-handed pitchers, and he didn't complain about it. Chase Shores lost his job as a starting rotation guy. He didn't fuss. He got better. That national championship team, Gavin Dugas wasn't a starter on opening day. Cade Beloso wasn't a starter on opening day. Ty Floyd wasn't in the rotation to start the season. Riley Cooper got demoted out. And I could keep going on with these examples of guys who selflessly have just done what they've been asked to do. But if you want to make sure that you're being asked to do a little bit more, you need to hit this weekend. Like, Milam doesn't have to worry about it. Aaron Beatty doesn't have to worry about it. Curiel doesn't have to worry about it. Those guys are going to play. But there's playing time to be had at second base and certainly at DH. You got to earn it because somebody's going to hit. And if you're asking for my projection at this point, I think Tanner Reeves' playing time may dwindle a little bit. I think Braden Simpson's playing time might dwindle a little bit. Credit to Simpson for embracing roles. This is a guy who was the star of his High Point team last year, 22 homers. They said, okay, come here, play a lot of first in the fall. He did. Play a lot of second in the fall. Play some second as a starter. He has. Okay, Stanfield's hurt. Can you go play left, please? He did. By the way, I was out there 2 weeks before the season started. Aaron Beatty got hurt. He went back there and put the gear on and caught. Simpson has been incredibly accepting of whatever they've asked him to do. But I think Braun's role is going to be there. And I'll tell you this is not something I would have said in late January, early February. I would not have said, I think John Pearson's going to have a big role in this team. I would not have said that. Didn't think he would play first base and didn't think he'd be one of the best DH options. I do not believe that anymore. I think he will be a DH option against left-handed pitching and absolutely will be a pinch hit guy against left-handers. And when he's been given a chance, he's hit. He didn't start the game on Tuesday when they lost to McNeese. Came in, bang, home run. And he's done a good job against left-handed pitching. I thought they forced him a little bit last year against lefties. I don't think he was ready for some of those SEC lefties coming off the bench cold. But he's a year older now. He's not the youngest guy on the field. And I think he will help. So this is a big weekend. Another guy that I'll be watching this weekend for sure is Omar Cerna. Need good defense from him and need him to swing the bat. I think Omar Cerna is going to get a big piece of SEC action this year. I think he's going to start a game a weekend. I talked about this a week ago, but I'll reiterate for those that missed it. I spoke with someone inside the program last January, and we talked about catcher. And if you'll remember, catcher was vacated. We didn't know who was going to be the catcher last year. Aaron Beatty was a freshman. They had brought in Luis Hernandez, who didn't catch at Indiana State. Eddie Yaman had come in from Dayton, where he really hit the ball. And so he was an option back there as well. And ultimately, Hernandez won that job. And when I was talking to that source inside the program, they said, look, he hit a lot at Indiana State. He hit a ton of homers, high average. We don't think we'll get that kind of production from him because we're going to ask him to play defense a lot. And they knew that entering as much wear and tear comes out on your body from catching, it hurts your offensive game. It just does. And they figured that regression may come. And it did. He did not hit nearly as much against SEC pitching and with catching every day as he did at Indiana State. However, toward the end of the season, they let Ianson catch Saturdays and Tuesdays. Sorry, they let Aaron Beatty catch Saturdays and Tuesdays. He caught Ianson. And when that happened, there was a correlation with Hernandez heating up offensively. He hit 2 home runs in the regional against Little Rock. He had the big swing against Arkansas that banged off the Charles Davalon's shoulder and scored the tying run in the ninth. And they think that correlation came with less defensive responsibility. And I know this, they want Cade Aaron Beatty to be a star on this team offensively. And they don't want him to get worn down behind the plate. And the way to do that is to spell him. And the guy that's going to spell him is Cerna. And Cerna needs to prove he can be ready for that. Jay talked about that yesterday in his press conference, that he's been thrilled. And big credit goes to Josh Jordan, who works with these catchers tirelessly. He turned Luis Hernandez from a DH/first baseman at Indiana State into a damn good catcher last year. And Aaron Beatty was lost in the woods when he got here trying to play defense behind the plate last fall. As a true freshman in the fall, he was lost defensively. He lost the job because of it. Now he's good. I got a little irritated on Tuesday because he tried to stab a couple of fastballs. One he did, and one got by him. You got to slide over and get your body in front of it. He's not perfect, but he's much better than he was in that fall. Josh Jordan does a good job, and he's got to work with Omar Cerna. Omar Cerna is here because he can hit the ball over the light tower, but he's got to learn how to catch. He caught it in high school, but you got to learn how to catch 97. You got to learn how to catch these sliders. You got to learn how to block the ball. And so he's got to get up to snuff, up to standard, so that Aaron Beatty can take a day or two off a week and he can keep his legs under him to hit in the middle of this order. Because he's got off to a great start. And if Aaron Beatty turns into a 5-hole hitter who clubs 14 homers, this team gets closer to its ceiling. But he only gets there if Cerna can spell him adequately. And Cerna's got to take the steps necessary to get there. And that starts with crushing this garbage pitching that we're going to see this weekend. It starts with crushing Dartmouth. It starts with crushing Northeastern. So that's your offensive look at this thing. Guys that are competing at second base, left field, and DH, you better hit this weekend. Catcher, I'm looking for good defense and Cerna to keep progressing. And then it goes to the bullpen, which I haven't talked about yet. They're going to go to Sheeran if it's a close game. They're going to go to Guidry if it's a close game. Those are the two guys who are at the top of this thing. But I need some more guys to throw it a little bit better. And it really starts with Zach Cowan. They may not use him on the weekend. They haven't used him on the weekend the last 2 weeks. And then he's been asked to start midweek games. And you do have a Monday game this coming week. And you do have a Wednesday game at ULL coming up this week. So there's a lot coming. And maybe they want to save Cowan to start one of those games. But whenever he gets back on the mound at some point, I need more out of Cowan. Got to be better. And there's track record there. You don't strike out 120-something at Wofford as the Friday night starter if you can't pitch. And you don't dominate through 8 SEC weeks like he did last year if you can't pitch. He can pitch. He's not going to throw 97. He can be better than he's been the first 2 weeks of the season. So I'm looking for Callan, whatever it is, to step in, throw strikes, use that changeup to get weak contact, miss a couple of bats, and get things moving in the right direction. It's a tough weekend to get invested and get involved if you're a fan. I get it. Waiting for SEC play. We're just trying to get to Nashville. But you're 2 weeks away from that. So you got to buckle down. You got to play well. I mentioned after they lost to McNeese, trying to get, you're talking about 26 games in the non-conference. 22-4 is kind of the goal there, okay? 22-4 is what you'd like to do. You dropped one. Take care of your business in 4 games this weekend. We'll talk about Monday's game on the show. Thankfully, all the 1 o'clock starts are in the rearview mirror. We're all night games now in the midweek. They play in the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday this week, but all nights in the midweek now. So we'll have to compete with LSU baseball. But take care of your business. Get those 4 wins this weekend, and keep on trucking along towards SEC play. A lot of SEC teams playing some big time opponents this week, and it starts coming up here in 17 minutes. UCLA and Tennessee will play from Globe Life. I think you can watch that for free on YouTube. So I'll have an eye on that as we move forward through the afternoon. We got one thing left to do here, and that's, of course, play Take It or Leave It. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I say redesign, I say remodel. You may start thinking dollar signs, ripping walls out, really invasive, really expensive, and sometimes that is the case. You want to do a whole deal, that can be expensive. But it doesn't have to be. Maybe it's something small. If you've got an old bathtub that you don't use, you've got a bathtub that's not functioning properly, you've got dingy, grimy old tub that's been there for 30 years, take it out. There's a lot of space being used there, and if you're not using the tub, take it out. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Changes the look of your bathroom, the functionality of your bathroom, add a little value to your home. And David Duvall and his team do that stuff all the time. That is the number one gig that David Duvall and One Bath and Closets are called in to do. It's tub to shower conversions. So if you've got a tub that you don't use, call David Duvall. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Get the consultation. Have him come in, show you what they can do. You need financing? They got it. 0% up to 18 months. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find their reviews, pictures of their great work, and get that consultation at onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. About a week in the rearview mirror here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm gonna be clear, blunt up front, Jordan. This is a big rarity.
Okay.
As I sit here right now, it is 2:48 p.m. on Friday.
Yep.
I'm 100% certain LSU has a basketball game tomorrow. I do not know who they play.
Oof.
I don't know.
Do you want me to guess?
It's Oklahoma, Auburn, and I think A&M is what's left.
That's left. Well,
but I don't know who they play, and I don't know where it is. That is incredibly rare. I think it's at home because they were on the road this week. My guess is they play Oklahoma here.
Oh, mine was Auburn. I was going to say Auburn. That's my guess is Auburn.
Do you know how rare that is? I always know.
Oh, because you're the hoops guy.
That's what's happened here. Like they can't play any consequential games. Oklahoma at home, 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Damn, I thought it was Auburn.
I'll be at an anniversary dinner, so I won't be there.
Hey man, you got to handle your business, man.
I do. 5
You're not missing nothing.
5 years. Look,
You're not missing nothing.
It bums me out that they cannot get to late February to play a consequential game.
Yeah.
It bums me out. I don't even care what the reason is. That's not even the point of the discussion. I don't care about the coach right now. I don't care about the injury to Don Thomas. I don't care about the former athletic director. I don't care about Jalen Reed. I don't like the reason is not the deal. I'm just bummed out that the actuality is that they're playing completely meaningless basketball in February. That's because this is a fun time of year if your team's good.
Yeah.
And they're 3-12 or whatever they are.
You know, I totally agree. I also think that y'all are not asking for too much out of the program. It's not like y'all are here, oh, we gotta make the a championship run. Like, y'all just want to make the tournament. That's all y'all asking is just to make the tournament.
You know how much more fun it is when they play that song on CBS and your team has a game?
Playing. Well, it's fun until
they tip off.
Yeah, I'm about to say until you play that 12 seed from some out the Northeast.
To that point, that Wade team that went to the Sweet 16 that won the SEC in 19.
Yeah.
They were really good. They were great. And they played Yale in the first round.
Yeah.
And I was doing hoops with Hunt at the time, and I said, like, in every tournament game that is not a 1-16, the losing team makes a run. In every game. You never just blast
blow
somebody.
them out, yeah.
They always make a run. And sure enough, LSU came out smoking, and they got a 15, 18-point lead on Yale, and here came Yale. And they hit them with like an 8-0. And I was at my house at the time, and I was like, I'm freaking out. This team cannot lose to Yale. And they held them off, and they ended up doing it. But that 5 minutes of game time sucked.
Yeah.
But it was great. I loved it. It sucks, but it was great. And there will be no such thing this year. I'll just look at my bracket get blown up, and that'll be the issue. I'll pull against Bama.
The main game I think about that is totally the Kentucky versus Oakland game. Where, with that Jack Golke guy. Where
that guy was hitting him from deep, baby.
You know, and Kentucky had Dillingham, Reed Shepard. We talking lottery picks, and Golke came out there and lit him on fire.
Deep.
Yeah.
Oakland.
It wasn't even like Oakland, California.
No, it's Michigan.
Yeah, literally. So, they lit him on fire.
There was a guy that transferred to my middle school in 6th grade, and his dad they were from Michigan, and his dad went to Oakland. I'd never heard of it until then.
Literally.
No. Jack Golke getting buckets on Calipari's head.
Never forget that.
All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, Hunt, your boy Pavia is back in the news.
Super.
So speaking to reporters at the 2026 NFL Combine, Pavia was being asked about his maturity, of course. And this is what he had to say. Vanderbilt head coach, Clark Lee, that's Vanderbilt's head coach, he always pressed that your frontal lobe isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old. And I just turned 24, so I've got 365 days to go. So is that the right answer to say about, maturity concerns?
Leave it. He has no maturity. I'm out on Pavia.
Pavia, man?
The Heisman thing, I'm out.
I mean, hey, look, I understand what he's saying, but dude, that is just that's a podcast answer. That's something you say on a podcast. You don't say that in front of the NFL Combine where people are just going to try to nitpick you anyway.
Can I preempt take it or leave it real quick?
Yes.
I looked up the LSU basketball schedule to see who they're playing.
Yep.
On Tuesday, they play Auburn on the road. Do you know when that game starts?
It's
9
Auburn.
p.m.
What?
Is that a misprint on the site?
In Alabama. Auburn, Alabama.
So Auburn's right on the east-west time zone because in 2010, the Cam Newton game, I stayed in Opelika.
Okay.
And that was in the eastern time zone, and Auburn was in the central time zone.
So Auburn's still our time zone, though.
But there's a ton of Auburn grads. Ton of Auburn grads that live in Atlanta. It's right there.
East Coast.
That's a 10 o'clock start time.
10 o'clock
Is that
start.
right? I have to write a story for LouisianaSports.net at 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Yeah. Pretty much, man.
I may contact the authorities here, Rivers Huey and Matt Moscone, and say, can we run the press release for this? It's 11 o'clock at night. I got to go to bed.
And it's funny because that's going to probably be their best game they play, too. So the Pittsburgh Steelers home stadium is making changes. The field earned an F- grade from the players in the leaked report card this year, the one that got leaked this year. So Art Rooney said Thursday that the team is installing Tahoma 31 Bermuda, a bluegrass Bermuda mixture that is used for the Eagles and the Chicago Bears. So do the NFLPA grades actually matter? Take it or leave it.
Take it.
Got to.
You got the Saints spicing up the cafeteria.
Yeah.
You got the Steelers putting in fancy grass.
F-. Got to change that.
Dennis Allen out with his B-. Kellen Ward A-. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I mean, you get it together, owners. I applaud the Rooneys. Got a bad grade? Fix it.
There you go. All right, so to end this one off, Lane Kiffin and LSU are looking at the 2030 class as they have offered an 8th grader, Rudard West Jr., a scholarship as the 14-year-old ran a 10.5 in the 100-meter dash. So Will he be the GOAT of the 2030s? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
Root our way.
LSU offered an 8th grader when Les Miles was the coach. He was a quarterback named Zadok Dinkelman. I have no idea.
Zadok Dinkelman.
I have no idea where he ended up, but he
Wow.
was in 8th grade, and they offered him a scholarship. I think Cam Cameron offered him a scholarship. He was in 8th grade.
Hell of a name.
No idea where he ended up. He obviously wasn't a big-time quarterback.
I don't know much about Dinkelman.
Zadok Dinkelman.
But that's it for take it or leave it.
I cannot believe that hopefully LSUsports.net has a misprint on game time, and they don't
9
actually play
o'clock
at
tip.
9 o'clock on Tuesday. That's absurd. 10 o'clock Eastern. Ridiculous. That's it for us. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Musso is going to drive you home on After Further View. Have a happy and safe weekend. We're back Monday. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. Their core values, customer service, quality, and integrity. And they don't compromise on that at Lifetime Roofing. You're going to get an incredible experience with Lifetime Roofing because they care. They're not just one of these roofing companies that comes in after a storm, signs as many people up as they can, throws a bunch of roofs, and heads out. These are people from the Baton Rouge area that are invested in the Baton Rouge community. And that's why they're going to take care of their customers. That's the customer service. The quality is impeccable. They're going to put together a phenomenal roof for you every single time. And they've got integrity. They're here, and they're going to take care of you the way you should be taken care of. They're not going to just put a new roof on because there's a minor issue. If there's a minor issue that needs a repair, they'll do the repair. But if you need a new roof, they can do that for you as well. They've got financing available, 0% for 18 months. And as of January 1st, they can offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. That includes materials backed by CertainTeed, one of the oldest and most trusted name in materials. Check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com. Lifetime Roofing, online at lifetimeroofingla.com.